It's Fly Box. Today we're going to tie another classic, Artflick's Gray Fox variant. It's a very productive search pattern. I think it fishes very well as an attractor. And when nothing's coming off the water, sometimes you can bring some very large fish to the surface with this pattern. Still works as tied. Let's go over how it's tied. I start out with a size 12 standard dry fly hook and tan 6 or 8/0 uni thread. And we'll start our thread. And wrap an even base back to the point of the barb. First material we're going to tie in is the tail. We're going to use ginger. This is a ginger badger. We're going to tie in a sizable clump. This is really an over-hackled fly in all aspects, but it needs to be to function the way it does. And we're going to tie the tail in about 1.5 times the length of the shank. And then make sure we bind over the butts. No reason to trim it. And afterwards, I find myself trimming this fly to get it where I want it. You don't have to, but if you're tying it classically, you will find yourself trimming it to get it exactly where it needs to be. And the next material you're going to tie in is the abdomen. It's that same ginger badger or golden badger quill. We're going to tie that in on the side of the hook. Bring it back to the point of tie-in for the tail. And then when you bring your thread forward, you're going to give yourself a little bit of a taper. And bring it forward to about the 2/3 point. I like to wrap an underbody that's already tapered when I'm tying with a quill. Quill will give you a natural taper just due to the way it's created. I like to add to it just a little bit. And then you're going to bring your quill forward. If you're like me, first couple wraps of a quill, anybody's guess because my vision ain't what it quite used to be. So I'm flying by the seat of my proverbial pants when it comes to the first few wraps. And then once the quill gets a little larger, it's easier to see. Make sure you get a nice tight wrap. No gaps. I like to leave the fluff at the end. I do that on purpose. It gives me a grip. Less likely to have that last little bit of quill slip out of my fingers. That's why you see it there. off our excess. Now I do something a little bit different with my quill bodies. I know quite a few people that tie them off. But I whip finish. I remove my thread, and then I use a little dab of bug bond on my bodkin, and I do that before I move forward. I don't like doing it after. Just too many more materials get in the way. Just seems easier for me. I don't overdo it with this. I use bug bond on most all my quill and hair bodies. I find it gives a better result, in my opinion. Use whatever you like to use. It just seems a lot easier to me to do it now, when I have fewer materials on the hook and in the way. I can get a better look at it. I can tell exactly how much I have on. A little bit easier for me. If you like it, try it. If not, however works best for you. Some people don't put anything on them, and that's fine too. Okay, now at this point I restart my thread. Now you have a little bit of a step here, but you're going to tie in some hackle. You're going to tie in 3 hackles. I start out with my grizzly. Tie it in on the side of the hook. And you'll find that by the time you get done tying everything in, the step from the body to the thorax is done. And my next, I got a little bit long of a quill sticking out there. My next is my dark ginger. In this case, I'm using Greenwell. Next is my light ginger. And a lot of people use cream. And then I make sure that my thorax is even, and I bring my thread to the front, leaving about a head length remaining. And then you're going to wind your hackle. I wind them one at a time. It's a very tight hackle. And you're going to get about 4 wraps per hackle. It's not as deep a thorax on these patterns. It's a shallow thorax. It's an oversized hackle. And we'll give a few security wraps there. And next I'm going to grab my brown. I'm not so sure it matters what order you put these in. I have an order just out of habit. I always make sure with the second wrap, when I'm coming on my last wrap, I'll tend to make sure that I sweep back. I don't want to trap that many or very many fibers forward in this. You want a very vertical collar. And again, a couple extra wraps. And then next you're going to tie in your grizzly. And you're going to do the same thing. I don't X wrap or weave my hackle. I just wrap it. I've found that I get just as good of results. But I also don't overthink this. You're trying to do 3 hackles. And you want it to be a specific type of collar. But I'd rather just wrap it and trim behind it instead of overthinking it and make myself nuts trying to get every fiber perfect. And then we're going to whip finish. Try and keep my head small. This pattern, as with most Catskill patterns. Everything nice and tight. And trap as few as I can. You wrap all 3 of your hackles in dry fly fashion with the dull side forward. In case I didn't mention that. A couple fibers trapped. And then your last item is your head cement. I put just a drop of Sally Henson's on there. And there it is. Now, like I said, I tend to trim my tail if I'm taking pictures. I want to be classic. I'll trim any obvious flyers, and I'll do the same thing on my collar. I don't want a lot of hackle splayed towards the rear, back over the body, or vice versa over the head. So I got one trap there. Take that out. There we go. And that's it. The Gray Fox variant. No wing, oversized hackle, over-length tail. Very effective style. Very effective classic Catskill pattern. Still fishes very well. Still a perfect addition to anybody's box. And like I said, I have had this fish when nothing was rising, or this fly when nothing was rising, bring some very big fish up. Hope it adds to your box. Good luck. See you in the water.